This is a London Grammar music video outtake. I got a letter from them inviting me to be an unpaid extra in a video. So here I am. This is the ponds that we've tried to make in Old Reading near Bushy Heath. And they made these ponds and they built dry beaver dams, presumably to get the runoff from the road. And I was wrong. This wasn't traditionally a forest or a copse or woodland. It used to be, I was told, it used to be a gravel pit. They used to take gravel for building. So most of the houses around in the area, I imagine, were built with gravel and sand from here. So these are like, this must have been what happened when, in the old days, and now Virginie has done I suppose they've kind of recreated it and planted a whole mix of plants from all over the place, but all native, I think. Pretty sure that they were all native British species, to see what would have come up, see what survives, and it's, a lot of it is surviving. But then anyway, after the gravel pits, it was used for grazing. So somehow there was some grass here. And then the grass went to beach. Now it's a few oaks and a lot of beach. So that's the succession. But then I don't know, it's not much. Maybe it's good for pigs. I don't know. I guess I should have studied more permaculture design. It's really deep. There are a few mushrooms. I'm not sure what. I wouldn't even be able to tell you what it was anyway. But if people were using the common, then it would kind of be obvious, but the only use it has at the moment is dog walking. It slopes quite strongly, but I think they were expecting the water for those ponds to come from up there, because on this path they made a trench. This holly is kind of rampant. They said they're going to glyphosate it. They think that there's told me that there's some way you can use glyphosate, and very specifically you cut them at the right time and then poison the stems. But it'd be more interesting to figure out why holly does this. It kind of shoots like mad. I think when it's under threat. And if you just leave a holly tree, it won't, unmolested, it won't do this. I think it's a fear. It's a reaction of fear. It's evolution. Inventing new species, like the new species of personality in the end. I think that's perhaps what you can get out of Jan Smut's book. He studied process and reality very hard, I think. And he was a statesman, and he managed to produce a theory of the evolution of personality. Those are the two books that I asked them not to sell and to keep of mine. Bertrand Russell's Introduction to Mathematical Philosophy, and Jan Smut's Holism and Evolution. And if I could get in touch with my daughter, it would be nice to see if there's some way I could get those books. But if you look at the ending of Sylvie and Bruno Volume 2, then you get some ideas about the final cause of statesmanship. There's the hole that they built, I presume, to channel the water off the path. And it was supposed to fill this. But I thought actually Bushy Heath is just not at all far up the hill here. So we could actually be piping the wastewater from Bushy Heath, at least this side of the road. We could pipe it down here and treat it, and this could be the treatment plant. Because what they've been doing here just reminds me of the kind of thing John Todd does. Just takes a whole load of stuff, mixes it all up and sees what happens. Well, he's kind of he's not fearful he's not xenophobic about how he mixes species. But you hear horror stories, so you wonder, horror stories of just one tank bursts and you end up with Tanganyika sardines and a whole industry that's, so far as I know, still running in Kariba. But if you're a bit bold, maybe you can tolerate it in your ecology, in your society. This is a nice patch. Wow, that is really nice. The colours on this display that I'm looking at just aren't right. It's a warm yellow and maybe there. I don't know. It's a dog. He's looking very interested at me. I got bitten by a dog the other day. Yeah, the holly. Somebody's got quite a nice garden on the other side of that fence. It's died. Just dropped all the branches right where it stood. Died on its feet. I wonder why the wood isn't useful. I was thinking in Bolivia about ways of cutting down trees by using cables from other trees and cutting the tree and lowering it to the forest floor. And then building a workshop around it and living there for a while. And then going and finding another tree. I met some Indians when I was walking around the forest at Ixiamas in Bolivia. I don't know, maybe they were Eseja. They told me they were working a tronco in the woods somewhere. And he had a bow and arrow and he was wearing just a kind of loincloth type thing. The real deal. And that's where Ava was going to drive a road to well, he has got a road. The guy was on a road, and they were going to build a road from, they kept on talking about the Panamericana, or some extension from Apollo to Ixiamas, and then they planned to drive that road all the way through to Brazil, and it would be a real carretera. Right through a really nice national park. But shit, I mean, nobody visits it, so why not? Just the people who live there. They made a big hoo-ha when I was in Bolivia about fathers not paying for maintenance of their children. And then they made a big hoo-ha about Avo having a son somewhere. And I don't know why they just didn't check up the maintenance records. I mean, if he's paying maintenance, then that proves it, doesn't it? No, I've got it all mixed up, I think. Just my father's telling me that my daughter's worried that she'll be held responsible for me by the state if she contacts me before I have a job. There's a mushroom. Because she'll be somehow responsible for my maintenance, but I don't think that there's any law in Britain. I don't know of any law that says you can't leave your parents on the street. Like there's no law that says you can't leave your children on the street either. But in Mexico there's a law that says that if your children are on the street taking drugs, then your family can actually call a private contractor. It doesn't have to be any official thing, and that person can forcibly put you in rehab. That sounds amazing. I don't know if that's just a Baja California thing. Somebody's left a little present, a dog DDs, I suppose. Very dry and old if it is. Maybe it's just some seeds. Oh wow, look. The colour's just completely bonkers. I mean that's this is all orangey and that's deep green, almost brown green on the darker stems, and it's all just, it's like it's overexposed. Yeah, so that's the end. I said this was a mossy earth video, didn't I? And thank you, Hannah. You can use this. I was in one of your earlier videos I thought. But it was somebody much better looking and much more hair than me.